folks. I'm down here, right next to the road that you can probably hear, to talk about wild edible plants. So, one of the greatest wild edible plants that we have here in North America is the honeysuckle. Now, the honeysuckle is very useful as far as the flowers are concerned. And I'll show you that here in just a second. The flowers themselves are actually edible right off the vine. What I do with the flowers is I pick them, dry them, and use them for tea. So you can also pick them and use them for tea fresh right off of the vine, and it's really good. So right now I'm starting to suffer from some of these seasonal allergies, and honeysuckle tea, which I'm about to make myself, helps to relieve some of that. And I figured that while I was out here doing that, I'd take you all along and show you what I'm doing. Right, so here we're looking at some honeysuckle flowers, and you'll see the difference in the yellow flowers and the white flowers. Now the yellow flowers are just a little bit older. The ones that are not open yet, you don't pick those, right? Because they're gonna open. But what you want is to pick the yellow flowers. You can pick white flowers, but you don't need to. And unless you're, running low on honeysuckle. And this time of the year, all over the South, chances are you're not running low on honeysuckle. So, like I said, what I do is pull the yellow flowers mostly, and you're not hurting the plant, okay? I'm really sorry for the road noise. It's that just happens to be the part where my honeysuckle grows. I have one other one that's got a lot more blossoms on it, but it's even closer to the road. So okay, well, you get the idea. What I will do with these honeysuckle blossoms, like I said, is I will make some tea. And use that for my seasonal allergies. And because of all the road noise, I think that's about good for now. The other thing I'm going to do is take some of these vines for cuttings, and I'll show you that too. So here you'll see this is a healthy honeysuckle vine. It's got flowers on it. I've pulled some flowers on it. I'm going to pull some more, but I'm going to show you how I cut it. So first thing you do, of course, is go ahead and pull any open blooms, okay? And when you cut it, this is hard to do like this. When you cut it, you want to cut it right here. So that you're beneath the two leaves. Okay? Let me see if I can. So honeysuckle leaves come up in twos, and so do honeysuckle flowers, right? So what you want to do is cut it just beneath the node where the two leaves are. And then I'll show you what else we do. Alright folks, so here's our cuttings. Like I said, what you want to do is cut it just beneath the node where the two leaves come out. And I've already started to trim this one. So this one also had leaf on here and one of these. Now what this is right here is where the flower grows, right? So we take off the two bottom sets of leaves, and you can see the nodes right where the leaves grow. And what I do, I've already done this one, is cut it at an angle like this so that you have a nice long scar on the opening, right? And then take my rooting powder and I dip the bottom part and that's what I plant, right? So you want both of those nodes in the soil. Now I'll do that 5 more times, and then I'll come back and show you what this looks like. Okay, so here we have them in the pot. You can see some of these are a little long. I tried to pick ones that, you know, have flowers on them, so that hopefully those flowers will grow right where they are. And on these two in the middle right here, I think you can see the leaves are a little denser packed at the end of this than they are on these, right? These are really good for starting. And once you've got them in there, you've done your root powder and everything, you put them in there. I had already moistened some of this. It's just Miracle Grow potting soil. It's nothing, you know, special. You can buy it at Walmart. And I just went and filled it back in. So there's plenty of water, plenty of root powder, and I'm going to give these to a coworker of mine who has also been suffering from some seasonal allergies, so she can make some honeysuckle tea as well. Okay, so as you can see, I have the honeysuckle flowers, the blooms, all sorted, and I have my French press. So I'm going to take my French press and I'm going to just put the flowers directly in there. Oops. And I'm going to add the water right on top of that. And I let that steep for about 10 minutes, and you can already see the color of the water is starting to turn yellow, and that's one of the reasons why you want to use the yellow flowers, because if you use all white flowers it doesn't turn yellow quite as pronounced. But obviously what you're seeing here is all of those vitamins that are in the flowers, in the pollen and in the nectar, being infused into the water. So you can also add, you know, a tablespoon or less or more, whatever, of honey if you want to. You don't necessarily need to. Now you will taste the flavor of the honeysuckle, and you definitely be able to smell it, but it's a very mild flavor. So if you're looking for, you know, some overwhelming rush of honeysuckle flavor, yeah, you're not going to get that. What you are going to get is the wonderful medicinal properties of the honeysuckle flowers. So you can take all the flowers that you don't use fresh and dry them in the dehydrator. Excuse me, dry them in a dehydrator, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is the dried honeysuckle. Kind of hard to see in this lighting. Essentially it's just dried honeysuckle leaves that I put into a snack bag. and the amount of leaves in this bag, or excuse me, blossoms that are in this bag, are enough dried blossoms to cover one entire sheet in my dehydrator. So I normally only get 5 sheets at a time, because these flowers really shrink up when you dehydrate them. So and you can use these exactly the same way as the fresh flowers. Pour them right in here, let them steep for 10 minutes. It's awesome. So I also want to show you guys a couple of good books. Peterson's Field Guide to Wild Edible Plants. This is a great piece of reference. I mean, there are so many plants. Red clover I've got all over the place, as well as white clover. I also pick the clover blossoms and dehydrate those for tea as well. Now the entire clover plant itself, from the blossom to the root, is completely edible. So you can eat everything. There's actually protein in clover flowers. So if you don't have one of these, or this one, right, I recommend it. You can learn a whole lot from books like these. Now, my wife's aunt lives in West Virginia, and she is a walking encyclopedia. She probably knows more than these 2 books put together. But hey, looks like we're close now. Let's give her a little press and move these out of the way so I don't get them all wet. I don't know if you can see the color of that. That looks awesome. Can you see that? That looks amazing. All right, folks. Thanks for joining me for something a little out of the ordinary, but I think it's important for all of us to understand the plants that we have around us right now. People, who are preppers, and they're throwing together tons of food to save, for a nuclear disaster, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's also good just to know that you can eat the dandelions in your yard. You can eat white clover. You can eat red clover. Right now, out in the back pasture, I've got some chicory growing, which I'm gonna pull and dry and use for like a drink supplement. But yeah, I really appreciate you joining me today. I hope you get a chance to go out and pick some honeysuckle flowers and try this, especially if you're suffering from seasonal allergies. So thanks again, everybody. God bless America. Do me a favor, if this was helpful, give me a thumbs up. If it sucks, give me a thumbs down, or send it to somebody that you hate, and maybe they'll give me a thumbs up. And if you think this kind of information is useful, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate it. God bless America.